know what he's going to
He
say.
had a realization. I need to take this.
I had a realization today working, just thinking through my solo before I came into work on it, and I realized that the loud noise that you hear in the beginning of Panic, it's like, to me, I've really put it into this life world of being in a city, and just like, suddenly there's loud noise, and so the appropriate reaction or a normal or socialized reaction to it, to me, is what all of the women do that are sitting in the four other chairs other than mine, is that the normal reaction is to get up, rise, and just go outside and see what's happening. But there's times in your life where you really have like this, you hear something and you're like, that's not okay, it's not okay anymore, and that was a huge realization to me, because it connected me more to what they're doing, because I felt a little disconnect there, and that that there's a socialized reaction, and there's an unsocialized reaction that's really this raw core emotion of humans. I think you see that also a lot in both of your solos, with like kind of the idea of lost love, and then the idea of hearing things and not knowing exactly what should happen.
That's interesting. This is maybe off topic, but I know I feel the same way, because in your solo, you come up to me, you stand right over me, and you're asking for help, and you're asking for help, and I know in my solo, I mean, while there's no one there to ask for help, in my mind, I'm asking for help, and it's crazy, because I'm like, I want to help you, but I can't, so it's definitely interesting to have to be a certain person in a certain way,
And I think it's part of our work. I can speak for myself, but I think that we still find moments of surprise, like we didn't notice before. After years and years of working, we do it again, and then we're like, oh, that's what she, because it's actually, ultimately it's yours, and she didn't want you to just do it. She wanted every time to be something new. Otherwise, it's, it's something that you do every night, and so she wanted you to discover something new every time, and she wanted to see that. So that's really great.
The movement base that I one of the parts in my solo, when I fall out of the chair forward and I'm like this, and I was really asking about the physicality of it, and I kept it was when Jim was here, and I was like, what is the physicality? And he goes, that doesn't matter. What she did is she threw me out of the chair, and that's what I do, is I throw myself out of the chair, and that's new, right? Every time, you don't fall out of a chair and fall the exact same way every single time. So I think like
that's what was for her. Does she believe that?
Yeah,
right.
That's what
She doesn't care how.
Exactly.
Sometimes you pick at details, but yeah, she just wanted to believe you. She had this idea, and she just wanted to get it across.
And I think with reconstructions, and the reconstructions I've done a lot of video work, and learning from video is like, so, okay, this is the movement, we'll teach you the movement, then go watch the video and like see how other people have done it. And we didn't do that until we watched the documentary about Anna, and being able to watch the people that have performed my solo, the solo I'm going to perform, is like totally different, like even watching you guys perform these pieces, it's like, you're just like, okay, there is like, every part of you is invested more than anything in who you are than the physicality. The physicality comes once you're invested.
Yeah, and you make it your own, so
Exactly.
it is going to be different from everybody else. And it doesn't make it any more true or false than anybody else.
Like when I was learning to throw the chairs and escape, and like just throwing one of the chairs like just didn't feel like it was, well, it just wasn't working, and I don't know why, but it just wasn't like true to what I guess I was feeling. And then you said, well, what about two? And then it just like clicked, and I was like, this feels great, this feels like and then I like feel the emotion super powerfully and authentically, and so I enjoyed that there's like room to discover your own way of doing it.
And it was such an interesting moment for me, because, ever France and everything else, I've been doing just the one chair. Anna originally taught me 2 chairs. Lori did 2 chairs, and the first time I worked with Jim on it back in the 90s, he was like, try only throwing 1 chair, and so I was working with Lily, and it was not working for her, and all of a sudden I thought, a minute. I used to throw 2 chairs. You know, I mean, I've been directed both ways, you know. And so I said, try 2 chairs, and it was like magic. It was like magic. It was like, there she is. It's perfect. So, you know, the beauty of Sokolow, there is that flexibility without, you know, bastardizing the choreography, you know. And I'm sure maybe Anna did that from time to time, too. Is the original 1 or 2? It doesn't matter, you know. But it was very exciting because she found her.
Yeah.
She found herself in it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, that's the same thing when I'm here. When I'm here and I do these quick little turns. Lauren said, you know, let's do it this way. This is the way that I do it. And like the last time you guys were here, she's like, let's just completely change it. Like, she's like, it just doesn't look like what you want to do. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So fitting it to yourself, I think, is important because you can experience it better and you can show how you experience it better when you do it the way that you know you would be doing it if you were in that situation.
And that's the beauty of the work.
Yeah.
Well, it also gives meaning to your dancing, right?
Yeah.
Like you have this,
Yeah.
it does make sense.
Yeah.
Anna would have utter appreciation for you.
Yes.
She would just, and she would be, she'd say, well, when can we work next? When can we get back into the studio? She would really just have utter appreciation for the way the 3 of you have been working. It's, the whole group is just wonderful. It's been very exciting for us. So exciting, because people can be very resistant to this way of working. It's either too naked, it's too bare, it's too simple. It's like, you want me to stand and run? Are you kidding? You know, or they're not taught to connect to themselves,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So it can put people off too, and it can put audiences off too. You know, because there's no embellishment.
No.
There it is.
Okay.
Arts education, we're not just learning dance, but instead,
You're very connected.
how can we use our body as like an educational tool, which I feel like sometimes at conservatories or like when people are just studying dance, it's not so much about that. And so, and like obviously we're not saying this in like a bragging way, but I think we've all delved really deep into this
Oh, for sure.
as if it were like this is a class and we're studying and we're gonna and we're like
Just who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and this has been so great. It's like that, when we were here last time and Charlie was talking about panic, and he said, you did some research on how long can a person stay panicked before they pass out?
Before their body
Just-
actually takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, you just really wanted to know because
Yeah.
you were just thinking about this
Exactly.
panic, this
Yeah.
state of panic.
I always think it's interesting with hearing about like work with conservatory, because I it might have been Anna. I remember in our dance history course, someone going to set work on Juilliard and then being like, they don't know, like they can't do this work, they don't know. And maybe it was Hanya Holm, I can't remember.
Sounds like
It sounds like Anna, so I like automatically like
Yeah.
associate it with
But
her,
it could
but
have been Hanya. She was a pretty tough cookie.
yeah.
too,
So there's an investment, and Lauren told me the last time she set Panic on someone, he didn't want to throw himself around. Like he didn't want to throw himself on the ground, and he was very like, and here I am, and here is this, and I feel like that is something you have to be able to do. You have to be able to know how to throw yourself in a way that you're not going to injure yourself. You're so invested in the work that you have to throw yourself. That's, if you're not in that, you can't be in that. You can't perform the piece, you know?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Not to like, I'm sure he's a wonderful person. Sorry. Yeah.
No, yeah. That's
well, it's
interesting.
important to know what you can not do also.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or that you've got a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
For sure.
whoa.
For sure.
Yeah.
This was a
It's
huge
dance.
challenge.
This
Huge
was like
challenge.
one of the most challenging pieces
Yeah.
I've ever done. I think
Yeah.
especially because it has like the authentic piece to it. I'm almost like, I'm never satisfied with how I do it, because I'm like, could I have like delved deeper into that? Like, why was I focusing on like where my arms were right here when I could have been like giving myself to the movement more?
You
This-
start having these dialogues with yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this kind of work, at least for me, like lends itself to never being satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so rich, there's just so much,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's like, it's almost like a more torturous, like, dissatisfaction with yourself than just being like, oh man, I didn't get that arabesque right or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like deeper
it is
than
deeper.
that.
It's personal.
But it's also like the most enjoyable dissatisfaction
Yeah.
because it leads you to more questions and like more exploration.
Yeah. Well, going off of what Charlie said, you were just talking about, you know, being so stuck in like the physicality of it, and that's something that I've been so used to. I'm so like balletically trained. So coming into this, Lauren was like, you don't need to look so pretty when you do that, you know, you're like jumping up and down, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. And yeah, so, and I know that coming into this, the piece that I'm, at the end, is totally out of my comfort, or was out of my comfort zone. Now I'm starting to get more into it, but like your solo is actually much more of the kind of movement that I'm used to.
Yeah.
So like watching you do it is like so interesting because it's kind of like almost like you kind of are more used to the movement that I'm
Yeah,
doing, so
we're,
it's like
like,
interesting to
flip-flopped.
watch you do it,
Yeah.
and then for
Yeah.
me to be like in this movement that I've never done before, and it's a whole new. It's like I'm like being born again into this work because it's something I've never done before or I've gotten used to. So it's a totally
Stepping
different
out of
thing.
your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Well, you all have so beautifully risen to the occasion. It's been such an honor and a pleasure working with you. Really.
Yeah, it's
And
been
we-
amazing to work
Yeah,
with
we
you guys
have-
because
we've-
it's just so different
Yeah.
from
Just
other
different.
reconstruction work we've done. Is like usually there's nothing like this. There's no
Yeah, there is
conversations. There's no like, can we talk about like how you work, how the work was like when the original choreographer was here, and there's never that, and that's
Yeah.
what's been so valuable. Is I feel comfortable coming into rehearsal and being like, Lauren, I like researched this, and then I looked into this, and then I like had this realization here, and she's like totally invested, like awesome, cool, yes, that's what we want, that's what we want. So it's like you're invested in us as humans, and that's
Yeah,
that's
that's exactly
that's
it.
like
It's a
what
lot,
matters
yeah.
to people.
Say that one more time.
You're invested in us as humans, you know.
Not as just like dancers that
Not
are
as
performing the pieces,
Yeah.
which we really appreciate.
Keeps it interesting for us.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's great.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.